All right, now that I have all my lines that I don't need erased, and I've got my crinkle cut French fry going on in the middle of my paper here, it's time to add some shading to it. Okay, now you learned about shading at the beginning of our time together using pencil and Sharpie, and we did some dot work, we did some cross hatching, and we also did pencil shading, and that is what we are going to be doing for this. Now, if you remember, pencil shading requires a bit of a light touch. Right? And what we want to do now is make this thing look even more three-dimensional by showing where the light would be hitting it if there was light in the room. And that's why we shade. So what we're going to do here, you're going to need a nice sharp pencil and a blending tool. Okay, make sure the blending tool is clean. If you need one, they're on my back desk. You can grab one. And what you want to do is you want to have the light hitting the middle of this thing, which means our darker areas to start are going to be along the left hand side and the right hand side. So you take your pencil, you want to hold it on its side and lay it on the paper rather than using the point. We never want to use the point when we're shading. So you're just going to begin by making your darkest area neatly right along this line. And then you want to gradually fade it out. Some of you are very, very good at this. Some of you struggle. But if you watch the way I'm doing this, the darkest area, okay, is here. Notice that I'm staying in my lines. I want good craftsmanship, nice clean edges to my different sections of my French fry. And as I get closer and closer to the middle of my French fry, I am gradually easing up that pressure. Going a couple different directions with my pencil to fill it in evenly, like this. By the time I get to right about here, my pencil is barely touching the paper. Please notice that I did start at the top. That is important. Okay, if you see any edges to your dark part versus your lighter part, add more pencil until you see a nice, even fade. Like so. You're going to take your blending tool and using its side, very, very gently and carefully, work the pencil into the paper. Not pressing too hard with it. And you have your first section shaded. As always, you can see that this is now dirty. You can use your little paper strip to clean it off. Just hold it between my fingers here and twist. And you can see it's a lot cleaner now. This section is almost done. We have one more. Actually, no, this section is done. So now our next section, we're going to start by doing the same thing. But this particular section will have an extra bit of work. So first thing I'm going to do is turn my paper so that my hand's comfortable. I'm going to build that darkest area right along here. Start with that. I kind of want it to match what I did above. Easing up, easing up. Right now my pencil is barely touching the paper. Move to my blending tool and blend this area. Again, I'm trying to very, very carefully stay in the lines. I'm just going to keep working this blender until there's a nice fade. Okay, now as I said, there's an extra step for certain ones. Okay? You don't need to draw arrows on your paper, but I am going to draw arrows too. Okay. So if you look at these, the ones that I drew the arrow to, they're all pointing downward. Okay? So if our light is hitting here, it kind of is going to light up these areas right here, but there's going to be another shadow that you need to deal with. And that shadow will be along this line. So you're going to take your pencil and you're going to do the dark to light thing. But this time, you're going to work it this way. Yeah. Really get it nice and dark along this line. Please try and keep it nice and straight. And then check that your blendy tool is clean. Gently blend in that shadow. Find a spot that doesn't look like there's any definition to that line. You can always go in and darken it up a bit. This will be your darkest area of the whole project, is right along here, along these lines. Check your blender. You don't always want pencil on it. Clean it off. Reblend if you need to add anything. Try and keep this general corner area here almost white, and that will get it to look correct. And there you have it. So you're going to continue that process downward, always starting along the left edge and shading towards the middle. Now, on the other side, now we're shading from the right edge, dark to light. And then anything that is facing down, see my pencil, okay, is going to get that extra bit of shading along its top edge. So darker here. You can always turn your project around if your hand's uncomfortable working this way. Whatever you need to do to be successful, remember we want to build this gradually. Don't just make it super dark and then light and nothing in between. You notice I just turned the project. It's because I want to kind of run my pencil down this way to even it out so I don't see any scribble marks from my pencil. I'm going to continue. Try and get this to fade out to my white. Be careful if you've erased. You want to make sure you brush all that eraser dust off, because if the pencil hits it, it will leave a little dark mark. It will not look right with this project. Okay, so I've got my fade going this way. Check my blending tool, clean it off if I need to. Remember, we are not smashing the tip of this, we're using the side of it. Blend. Gently, do not push with the blender. Okay, not solve anything. It will not fix any mistakes. And you can see it's just filling in the paper real nice, smooth. Okay, so I've got a nice fade going from that way to that way. And like I said, this is one of those ones that is facing more towards the bottom of the paper. So I'm going to shade along this line as well. Nice and dark. And fade out to white relatively quickly. It's not quite as gradual as that one. There you go. Check your blender, clean it off, work pencil into the paper, keeping it nice and neat. There you go. So you will continue to work that side once you have finished this side. Or you can do them at the same time. That's up to you.